Frank's school, third year, 38th day, first video. In this video, on this day, there are two more videos, and what I did was I put two together that, well, they are related. The Garden da Estrela is a garden that is begins right opposite the Basilica da Estrela, and it's high on a hill. I had seen it last year with Erica. I rode, I'm pretty sure it was that famous Line 28 tram, or Bonge 28. If you ride it, just keep riding it. One of the places it goes by is this basilica. And I had ridden it to the end and back last year, and at the basilica I saw that garden. Going into the garden, I thought, wow, that's a nice garden. And anyway, this year I went there, and I went there because a woman at the hostel told me that that would be a way to get to the botanical garden. The botanical garden was not that easy to find. Once again, if I'd taken a taxi, it would have been no problem. But she said, go there and then walk through the Garden da Estrela. That'll be a nice way to get there. And you go to a place called Uhato, which means the rat. It must mean something else too, because it's like a big major plaza, and I actually had to go to the post office there, and you'll see that anyway. But as I'm wandering, I'm thinking about this water. Where does this water come from? Because this is high on a hill, sort of above the city, and here's these ponds and this water, and I'm very sure it comes from the aqueduct. That was all made possible because of the aqueduct, which tomorrow, in 2 days, you'll see that aqueduct. But if you can't wait, it's the aqueduct. Maybe I told you already. The aqueduct of Aguas Frias. Well, I'll tell you about that later. But anyway, I was tempted at one point to just give up on the botanical garden and go in search of the aqueduct. But I thought, well, the botanical garden is probably only made possible because of the aqueduct. I had even asked Margarita about the botanical garden, how to find it, and what the best way was, and was there falling water there? Because, you know, falling water in Portugal, for joy, was one of my subjects. And she said, no, there wasn't any falling water in the botanical garden. Well, actually, she was wrong. There was falling water in the botanical garden. Anyway, the final shot, what I mean by this, in that next video, number 2, the final shot is of a dormer. A dormer is up on a roof. It's a window that comes out of a roof, and I can't really draw. But why I did that was because dormers usually have a window. They always have a window here, and then it's roofed. But those dormers had windows on the sides. You know, I'm always filming details. And I noticed that detail. There were windows on each side. Now, I did that in this house. I thought that was a good idea. If you stood out there, instead of just looking that way, it'd be nice if you could look to side and side. So I've seen it done before, but rarely. And so that's why I got that. Now, the third video is the botanical garden, and I recommend that you pause on the description of it to learn about it. And I'm going to divide that into 2 parts. Today's is part 1, and I'm going to save the Arboretum part for part 2, and I'll do that tomorrow. This level area has got the name The Class. Unfortunately, the focus isn't good enough that you can probably read that well, I don't think. But it's so perfectly level, I had to suspect that maybe we were on the top of a tank. A reservoir for storing water. I still have some suspicion that might be the case there, because the Arboretum is you almost feel like you're looking off a cliff as you see down in the Arboretum. Well, I'd like to point out what a contrast it is in the Arboretum to the city outside. You can see the city down below, you can hear the noise of the city, and Lisbon is not a terribly noisy city. But in this Arboretum, Botanical Garden and Arboretum, next time you'll see, it is so quiet. And because of that, I'm fairly silent in this video. I don't say much. And as I recall, in the Arboretum, it's the same way. I don't really say all that much because it's nice to hear the sounds that are there. I had been to the Botanical Garden one time before. It was in 1970, I think it was. The second time I was ever at Lisbon. I was at the Botanical Garden, and at the time I was disappointed in it. I remember that. That's why last year I went to the Botanical Garden at Ajuda, which is supposedly more famous. But I have to say now, of the two, although that one was impressive, and you can see it in the second year's video, somewhere around 30th video, or 35th video, you can see it. It's impressive. But I really like the Botanical Garden. And this is just the top. This is just the top part you'll see here. You'll see the Arboretum next time. See you then.